how important is it to choose the right quiver tip for the job? Well, let me tell you, I think this stems from us as a brand. You know, when it comes to Shimano, the first X7s that we released, we wanted to make sure we were using the finest tips possible, and we followed through that story within all the ranges of the Shimano shorter length rods within the range. And especially now, the new introduction of the X7s, we've followed through with that with a little bit more detail. So for example, in front of me here, from the X7 range, I have the 9-foot finesse and I've got the 10-foot precision. Now, when you buy one of the shorter rods from the length, and that's the 9-foot finesse, the 10-foot finesse, the 10-foot precision, you get ultra-fine tips with them. And these rods have been specifically designed for short to medium range feeder work. Whether you're on a natural or a commercial, that is what that's the footprint of the rod. That's what they've been developed for. But the bite detection is so important, and this stems from when we were developing rods in the past. I'm very in tune with, I want to read everything that's going on in my peg. So let's say, for example, where we are today, I'm fishing a little method feeder across to the far bank. I'm fishing on a shelf. A, I've got to make sure that my feeder doesn't move down that shelf. And B, also, I want to use the softest quiver tip possible. So as my line is moulding against that feeder, you don't tighten up to the feeder because you're going to move the feeder down the shelf. But you also want to read with a reasonably tight line what's going on in your peg. Have you got fish in your peg? Are they moving around? And exactly what a soft quiver tip does is it cushions all that movement. If I'm on a shelf and I've got a reasonably tight quiver tip, a heavier tip, let's say an ounce and a half tip, and I get some kind of fish moving into that line, there's a very good chance that it could move my feeder away from where my trap has been set. You know, that's what it's all about. And in the wintertime, especially in the wintertime, every single cast that you make is imperative that you make the best of that moment, that everything's in place and your presentation's on key and you're giving yourself the best possible chance of getting a bite. A quiver tip not only minimises the feeder moving, but it also allows you, the angler, to anticipate a bite. If you're using a soft quiver tip and all of a sudden you see a slight indication, if you did not see that indication, you'd now be thinking, well, do you know what, I might have to recast and chuck somewhere else. But I'm going to say, I've just had an indication. It gives you that motivation, that confidence, that patience to sit there thinking, that actually could go any minute. Oh, I'm going to say, I've got one. So it helps you read and keep in tune with what's going on in your peg. So with the 9 and the 10-foot rods, we supply a ½ ounce, well, especially with the 9, we supply a ½ ounce and a ¼ ounce ultra fine tip. So you can imagine the 9-foot is really short work, light feeder work, whether you're on a natural or commercial. And it allows you to not only get away with a thinner main line, lighter bombs, lighter feeders, lighter diameter hook lengths and smaller hooks, but that really soft quiver tip allows you to really mould into your connection, your terminal tackle, what is under the water. And a really, really soft tip is my go-to choice. So whether I'm fishing a 9-foot or a 10-foot, I'll always opt for this style of fishing, especially the softest quiver tip possible because of what I've explained. I want to anticipate bites. I want to see if there's fish in my peg, especially in the winter when you're using a little light bomb. You don't want to spook the shoals of fish and you're chucking around trying to search for indications, little pods of fish that could be in your peg somewhere. That soft tip allows you to read exactly where the fish are in your peg. So when it comes to quiver tip choice, my advice is always go for the softest tip possible because of what I've explained, and that will massively speed up that process of your swim management where you want to read and find out where the fish are in your peg. That's exactly why you want to use a soft tip, especially during the winter months.